Please all stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honorable court, please draw nigh, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Samavia Ali.
May it please the court, I move that Samivia Ali be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Samavia Ali be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christopher Kenneth Allen.
May it please the court, I move that Christopher Kenneth Allen be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Christopher Kenneth Allen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Muhammad Ayad.
May it please the court, I move that Muhammad Ayad be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Muhammad Ayad be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
El Balekas.
May it please the court, I move that El Balakis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let El Balekas be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sophie Elizabeth Cooper Booth.
May it please the court, I move that Sophie Elizabeth Cooper Booth be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sophie Elizabeth Cooper Booth be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Layla Bunjuric.
May it please the court, I move that Layla Bunjuri be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Layla Bunjuric be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rayan Jericho Kalimlim.
May it please the court, I move that Rayan Jericho Kalimlim be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rayan Jericho Kalimlim be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jamie Crystal Carter.
May it please the court, I move that Jamie Crystal Carter be moved as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jamie Crystal Carter be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jane Chang.
May it please the court, I move that Jane Chang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jane Chung be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ainat Chen.
May it please the court, I move that my sister Ina Chen be moved as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ina Chen be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yui Sok Choi.
May it please the court, I move that Yui Sok Choi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yui Shok Choi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Cara May Cook.
May it please the court, I move that Cara May Cook be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Cara May Cook be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Pranali Chittaranjan Das.
May it please the court, I move that Pranali Chittaranjan Das be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Pranali Chittaranjan Das be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Evian Linda Del Fabro.
May it please the court, I move that Evian Linda Del Fabro be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Evian Linda Del Fabro be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Joanne Elias.
May it please the court, I move that Joanne Elias be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Joanne Elias be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Natasha Marie Elam.
May it please the court, I move that Natasha Marie Elam be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Natasha Marie Elam be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Louis Gasparinatos.
May it please the court, I move that Louis Gasparinatos be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Louis Gasparinatos be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Margaret Rose George.
May it please the court, I move that Margaret Rose George be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Margaret Rose George be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Patrick Gorgas.
May it please the court, I move that Patrick Gorkas be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Patrick Gorkas be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Shirley Lim Holland.
May it please the court, I move that Emma Shirley Lim Holland be admitted as a
and lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Shirley Lim Holland be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Glenn Edward Highland.
May it please the court, I move that Glenn Edward Highland be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Glenn Edward Highland be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rafia Islam.
May it please the court, I move that Rafia Islam be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rafia Islam be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Stephen Joel Joss.
May it please the court, I move that Stephen Joel Joss be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Stephen Joel Joss be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shalani Kristen Kumar.
May it please the court, I move that Shalani Kristen Kumar be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shalani Kristen Kumar be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rocky Joseph Lagudi.
May it please the court, I move that Rocky Joseph Lagudi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rocky Joseph Lagudi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sophie Margaret Manning Liger.
May it please the court, I move that Sophie Margaret Manning Layer be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sophie Margaret Manning Layer be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
William James Liddon.
May it please the court, I move that William James Liddon be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let William James Liddon be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Annabelle Amelia Lloyd.
May it please the court, I move that Annabelle Amelia Lloyd be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Annabelle Amelia Lloyd be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dimitri Nicholas Maraziotis.
May it please the court, I move that my nephew Dimitri Nicholas Maraziotis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Dimitri Nicholas Maraziotis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isabella Victoria Teresa Marici.
May it please the court, I move that Isabella Victoria Teresa Marici be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Isabella Victoria Teresa Marici be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Andrew James Angus MacDonald.
May it please the court, I move that Andrew James Angus MacDonald be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Andrew James Angus MacDonald be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Tara Mulholland.
May it please the court, I move that Tara Mulholland be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Tara Mulholland be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
David Rajendra Nair.
May it please the court, I move that David Rajendra Nair be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let David Rajendra Nair be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Despina Panagiotis.
May it please the court, I move that Despina Panagiotis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Despina Panagiotis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Oliver James Parker.
May it please the court, I move that Oliver James Parker be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Oliver James Parker be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hania Raymond.
May it please the court, I move that Hania Raymond be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hania Raymond be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Avijit Safar.
May it please the court, I move that Avijit Safaya be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Avijit Safaya be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shelby Shanali Sewak.
May it please the court, I move that Shelby Shanali Sawak be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Shelby Shanala Sawak be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Albert Yinglam Shum.
May it please the court, I move that Albert England Shum be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Albert Yinglan Shum be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kate Amy Slowey.
May it please the court, I move that Kate Amy Slowey be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Kate Amy Slowey be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Charlotte Isabella Smith.
May it please the court, I move that Charlotte Isabella Smith be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Charlotte Isabella Smith be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nee Taylor.
May it please the court, I move that Nee Taylor be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nee Taylor be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emily Kar-Yan To.
May it please the court, I move that Emily Kar-Yan To be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emily Kar-Yan To be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Brian Seppo Twala.
May it please the court, I move that Brian Sepotuala be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Brian Sheppo Tala be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alicia Catherine Vanden Heuvel.
May it please the court, I move that Alicia Catherine Vanden Heuvel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alicia Catherine Vanden Heuvel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Bonnie Vogel.
May it please the court, I move that Bonnie Vogel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Bonnie Vogel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Zane Christian Wild.
May it please the court, I move that Zane Christian Wild be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Zane Christian Wild be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew John Williams.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew John Williams be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matthew John Williams be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Isabella Marta Wisniewska.
May it please the court, I move that Isabella Marta Wisniewska be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Isabella Marta Wisniewska be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will now be necessary for those applicants whose admission has just been moved to stand and remain standing as directed by the officiating officer for the purposes of swearing an oath or making a declaration or affirmation. So please stand as directed.
Just the first and second rows to my right. Thank you. Please stand. Samavia Ali. Christopher Kenneth Allen. Mohammed Ayed. L. Belakas. Sophie Elizabeth Cooper Booth. Layla Bundrick. Rayan Jericho Kamlimlim. Jamie Crystal Carter. Jane Chang. Ina Chen. Yui Sok Choi. Kara May Cook. Pranali Chitharanjan Das. Evian Linda Del Fabro. Joanne Elias. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
So help me God.
Thank you. Please sit down. And if the third and fourth row could please stand up. Natasha Marie Elam. Louis Gasparin Renatos. Margaret Rose George. Patrick Gorkas. Emma Shirley Lim Holland. Glenn Edward Highland. Rafia Islam. Stephen Joel Joss. Shalani Kristen Kumar. Rocky Joseph Lagoudi. Sophie Margaret Manning Ledger. William James Liddon. Annabelle Amelia Lloyd. Dimitri Nicholas Mariotsis. Isabella Victoria Teresa Murici. Andrew James Angus MacDonald. Tara Mulholland. David Rajendra Nair. Despina Panagotopoulos. Oliver James Parker. Hania Remen. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? I do. Thank you. Please sit down. And both rows to my left, please stand up. Avijit Sapphire. Shobi Chanali Sewak. Albert Yinglam Shum. Kate Amy Slowey. Charlotte Isabella Smith. Nee Taylor, Emily Caryanto, Brian Seppo Twala, Alicia Catherine Vandenheuvel, Bonnie Vogel, Zane Christian Wild, Matthew John Williams, Isabella Marta Wisniewska. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state, according to the best of your knowledge, skill, and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"? Yeah. Thank you. Please sit down.
Well, may I warmly welcome you all to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today to my right is Justice Leeming, Judge of the Court of Appeal and Judge of the Supreme Court. To my left, Justice Schmidt, who is a Judge of the Common Law Division of the Court. Together we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you, the newly admitted lawyers, to practice. We've done so here in the Banco court, which is our ceremonial court, but is also a busy working court. And the Banco court in this whole building sits on land for which the Gadigal of the Eora Nation have cared and been custodians of for thousands of years. And the court, and I personally pay my respects to Gadigal elders, past, present and emerging, and extends those respects to all First Nations people. In the spirit of the Uluru Statement from the Heart, which looks forward to a fuller expression of Australia's nationhood with great dignity, we acknowledge a regrettable reality that this nation's laws and legal system has so often in the past delivered the opposite of justice to First Nations people. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession and congratulations. Today is one for great celebration. We know how hard you have worked just to get here, countless nights of study, obscure problem questions, reading wafer-thin pages of textbooks, most of which were written by Justice Leeming to my right, and more cases also written by Justice Leeming than you can care to remember. And for most of you, your journey here today has involved 2 extraordinarily challenging final years of study if you've come here directly from study, affected, of course, by the pandemic. You have faced and come through additional adversity, as to say, overcome not only the challenges of studying law and getting through it, but also overcome the adversity of the pandemic. That makes your achievement in reaching this stage of your careers all the more impressive, and the resilience that you have no doubt developed will stand you well into the future. It is with a guarded spirit of optimism that I express my sincere hope that as you enter the profession, the society is exiting the dreadful impact of the pandemic. In being admitted this afternoon as a lawyer of the court, you join a profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an oath on admission to practice dates back to the 12th century, and this court first admitted lawyers in 1824. Its predecessor court, this court was established almost 200 years ago, but its predecessor court was the Supreme Court of Civil Judicature of New South Wales. It admitted the first practitioner in New South Wales, who was a man called George Allen, who founded the firm Allen and Hemsley, as it was, Allen's Arthur Robertson, which will celebrate its 200th anniversary in a couple of weeks' time. But this court, established in 1824, has been admitting lawyers since then. By 1830, the names of the lawyers were entered onto the rolls in this state, as you will do immediately after this ceremony. So you've thus now become part of a long and distinguished tradition. I know for some of you that will feel as though you've been studying for that long, or that will be how your family and friends may feel. On that note, can I also extend a welcome, of course, to those with you today in the court or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the support of family and friends will have been invaluable. And no doubt they've also been on the receiving ends of your developing skills of argument and persuasion. You should take the time to thank them, and depending on how good an advocate you are or have become, you might even convince them to shout you lunch or dinner, or you could take them out to lunch or dinner as a mark of your gratitude. Matter for you. The law touches every part of our society, and it can and will lead you all in many different directions and career paths. But in whatever direction you head, you must always remember that the oath or affirmation that you have just made is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, for legal aid, for a Crown Law Office, a government department or agency, or in an entirely different field, you should be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice, and must strive at all times to uphold these values. Admission as a member of the legal profession is a privilege, it's not a right. And it's in acknowledgement of the weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the fact that your admission has been moved by someone who is already a member of the profession, and also by the fact that you have made a formal oath or affirmation in the presence of your family and peers, and indeed of the court. We and they are all witnesses to the promises and undertakings you have made today in the form of the oath and affirmation. As to formality, you will see from portraits around this courtroom that we on the bench are wearing the same robes, in some cases literally, as have been worn by our predecessors. There is an important symbolical reason for that, because it highlights the continuity of the rule of law in New South Wales. We have had independent courts in New South Wales for almost 200 years, where justice is done in public, open justice, with judges of high integrity. And that is a tradition we are proud of, and which is a continuum. In a world in which there is much global uncertainty and insecurity, the rule of law is more important now than ever. It's not simply a phrase of some theoretical import. The rule of law is the opposite of the arbitrary abuse of power and the rule of autocratic dictators and populists. We know from recent history that there is nothing theoretical about those risks to democracy. Although we mark the occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. The pandemic led to a rapid adoption of technology and virtual courtrooms. We thought it was extremely important that access to justice and the justice system continued to operate through the pandemic, and with the use of technology, adaptation was made. New opportunities presented themselves, including greater workplace flexibility, which is especially important for lawyers with family responsibilities. And better use of technology also has profound implications for how our legal system interacts with and may become accessible to many people who can't physically come to court. But although the increased use of technology offers a number of advantages, it's important to remember that the practice of the law has human nature and human interaction at its core. An essential part of being a good lawyer is understanding people, how others react to different situations, perform under pressure, and deal with each other. And as I said in my recent swearing-in speech as Chief Justice, whilst the remote practice of the law with the aid of technology may be possible, it's in most cases far from desirable. There are, of course, other significant changes in the law that deserve attention, in addition to those brought about by the pandemic. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter a duality that, on the one hand, we actually have come a long way in recent decades, but on the other hand, much still needs to be done. For example, although women were for many years not even permitted to be lawyers, um, we now have a situation where since 2018, women have made up more than half of the solicitors with a practicing certificate in New South Wales, where the local court, the biggest court in New South Wales, has parity in terms of gender representation amongst the magistracy, and where female practitioners under 30, two-thirds of practitioners under 30 are female. We also have a female as the Chief Justice of Australia, the Chief Justice of Queensland, the ACT and Victoria. Our President of the Court of Appeal, Julie Ward, was also the Chief Judge in Equity, and of course our Governor, the Honourable Margaret Beasley, held that office as President of the Court of Appeal for many years. So there's been great progress, but there should also be, in addition to gender diversity, strong representation of lawyers from the many different backgrounds that comprise our cosmopolitan community. Diverse representation amongst solicitors, advocates, and ultimately judges assists in ensuring that all people who become involved in our justice system can, and feel that they can, be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. The admissions ceremonies on which I have sat since becoming a judge 3.5 years ago, including this ceremony, highlight, I think, that there is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than when I commenced practice, and that is a very good thing. You, the newly admitted lawyers, have the world at your feet. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unfair laws, taking up a particular case, pointing out systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable, or unsustainable working cultures where there is completely inappropriate sexual harassment or bullying. You, as lawyers, should speak up for the things that matter and in which you believe. That is a great aspect of the legal profession. Back your courage, back your principles with courage and conviction, and you will make a difference. I also urge you to engage with your communities outside the day-to-day practice of the law. Your training as a lawyer in systematic thought, in the importance of matters of principle and fundamental fairness, including procedural fairness, equip you very well for service beyond day-to-day practice, and you'll derive great satisfaction if you're able to apply your talents and abilities into community organisations. Now, turning from opportunities to obligations, and a little bit of, I hope, friendly advice. As a lawyer, you will often be called on to make difficult ethical decisions. You need to use the tools you've developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court and the administration of justice. One mistake that I'd urge you never to make is to give your clients the advice you think they want to hear. That will not be good advice. Our friend Justice Gageler, before he went to the High Court, once said, and I quote, "You must be," he said, "prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." As one might expect from Justice Gageler, that is very good advice indeed. Being a lawyer means that you are now an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator at times, and an advocate. And as you go about your day-to-day work, can I ask you to remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum as an abstract concept or as an academic discipline, but you are dealing with the law as it applies to people's lives. An individual in need of your services as a lawyer is, in most cases, likely to be an individual facing some kind of great personal challenge or crisis affecting his or her liberty, property, family, personal well-being, or health or financial position. For these reasons, you must always strive to deliver legal services sensitively, competently and fiercely, but always with courtesy and integrity. In this context, I wish to emphasise the importance of civility. Aspects of the law, especially if you're involved in litigation, are confrontational. There's no two ways about that. And the practice of the law can be stressful and demanding enough without personal antagonism or animus between practitioners adding to the load. So it's essential as you enter practice that you maintain your detachment, even though you'll often be advising on issues where there is conflict. Maintain your detachment, balance, and good humour, remembering at all times, of course, that you are now members of a profession, not a business. And remember this: the best advocates can and do make their point simply and succinctly. Quite often, less is more. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges, I count myself in this, could use that reminder from time to time. For a non-lawyer, the law is often, indeed, frequently incomprehensible. One of your roles, a very important role as a lawyer, will be to make the law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, but more often than not, trying to explain in accessible language what the law is and what people's rights and obligations are. Strive to be clear and concise at all times in both your writing and your speaking. Can I also mention briefly failure? Perhaps an odd thing to mention on an occasion such as this, but it's inevitable in a profession with many overachievers and perfectionists that at various points in your career, no matter how good you are or think you are, you will all make mistakes. We all do. We all make mistakes from time to time, especially when we're starting something new. What is important is you try not to make the same mistake twice. You learn from your mistakes, but when you do make a mistake, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can, and learn from any errors. Your physical and mental health are also both extremely important, and unlike when we on the bench all started practice, there is a much more acute consciousness in the legal profession and society generally about the importance of mental health. There may, and I dare say, will be times when you feel overwhelmed, burned out, or distressed. Legal practice can be all-consuming and physically and mentally taxing. That's often because lawyers are so committed to their client's cause. They do go the extra mile, and that is an honourable trait and a great testament to their integrity and their dedication to their profession. But you can get exhausted. You have to work hard to keep your balance and keep your eye out to ensure that your colleagues do as well. If you do get overwhelmed by it all, as frankly we all have from time to time, try and take a step back, recapture some perspective, or suggest gently to your colleagues that they ought to do so. But in this context, also remember that the legal profession is a highly collegiate one. And in times of difficulty, I'm sure you will find that the support and friendship of your professional peers will prove invaluable. The Law Society and the Bar Association are also institutions which are acutely aware of the pressures and challenges of practice, and they offer really terrific institutional support to lawyers in this state. Now, can I say something in closing? The law is a wonderful profession. It is stimulating, it is challenging, it is satisfying. It is populated by intelligent, committed, and dynamic people such as yourselves. You should be proud to be a lawyer and of your achievements to date. You should remain proud to be a lawyer. It is a very important profession, and a legal career is one that can take you in many different directions, all of which are interesting and rewarding. So hold your heads high, and the very best of luck on the exciting journey that lies ahead. On behalf of Justice Leeming, Justice Schmidt, and all of our colleagues on the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you all on your mission today and welcome you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is adjourned. God save the Queen.